Hi, this is Rob Anspach, and welcome to another edition of eHeroes. And today's eHero comes from Brisbane, Australia. Her name is Pauline Longdon, and we're going to talk about copywriting, marketing, and depression, because I think that it plays into the scope of every entrepreneur's, I don't know, their whole mindset. It revolves around what they're going to do next. So welcome, Pauline.
It's great to be here, Rob. Thank you so much for asking me.
You know, I have your book, From Depression's Darkness to the Light of Life. But this book came out in what, 2012?
Yeah, 2012, a long time ago.
And then you redid it recently, because this one's only like 60 pages and it's a great book.
Yeah.
But the new one is what, 150 pages, and it's just filled with brilliance.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's a much bigger book, and when I first released it, I wasn't in a really good place to even write about my journey. But over the last few years and really getting into copywriting and that taking off for me, I thought it's about time I actually wrote some words in my book. So as I was saying, I wrote 20 extra chapters in less than 24 hours.
Wow.
Just got into it. It just flowed through me. I've never had a writing experience like that before, and it was magical, actually. Yeah.
So what prompted the book to begin with? I mean, if we're going back to 2012, there had to be something there that prompted you to bring this book out.
Yeah, I think it was an overwhelming urge to help people through their own darkness, and even back then, I wouldn't say that I was 100% better, and perhaps that's why I couldn't write the words. But I at least needed to get the pictures out there. And what I noticed when I had depression, people would give me great big, reams of paper and books and things to read, and I couldn't read or write when I had depression. My brain was so fried.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was going through my own process and I was drawing these little pictures to communicate, I showed them to someone one day, and they said, "Oh, that'd be great, as a book to show people what it feels like." And I thought, okay. So I started to draw them, and one thing led to another, and I ended up self-publishing that book. But I used all my marketing skills, like that Dan Kennedy says to use in that. And I actually did a launch without knowing how to do it, with my partner Ray's help. And I didn't even have to pay for printing, and that, in fact, I had enough money to print double the amount of books that I wanted to, and then I gave that half away. So that was pretty good. So I think the overwhelming urge to help people through their journey is what's made me get it out. And I've got to tell you, it's an uncomfortable thing to share with the world. I feel quite naked and vulnerable in sharing this story, but I've had feedback that people that book's actually saved people's lives, because they found a bit of hope in that moment of darkness where they were about to jump off the planet. So I get goosebumps. That's what it's all about for me.
But you didn't really stop there. I mean, you've become a world-class copywriter, and people have, I've been watching you kind of grow over the last couple of years, because I've known you for a while. And even some of these guys have been in copywriting for years are now saying, go to Pauline. She knows what she's doing. Just get, and it's wonderful to watch that evolution that you've had, that you've taken something that came out of depression, and now you've made a livelihood that is sustaining.
Yeah, it's quite a transformation. And I mean, as you said, you've been there pretty much since the beginning. I think we found each other on Facebook fairly early in the Facebook journey, and so you've seen it. But I look back every now and then, and even the process of rewriting that book when I was writing it, and part of the story is the day that I was discharged out of the army, the day that I was meant to drive into a tree, I didn't even leave a suicide note because I couldn't read or write. I had so much doubt in my abilities to write a message. So I was just leaving without saying goodbye to anyone. That breaks my heart, because that would have left a huge hole and a question forever for everyone. But to go from that to now being paid to read and write is phenomenal. I feel incredibly blessed.
Well, and you should, because and here's the thing is that without the support of friends, without the support of your partner, you probably wouldn't be where you are today.
That's very true. Yeah, I've got like a whole support crew behind me, a big crew. So yeah, very, very blessed.
But you also have support of your fans, friends, followers that have been watching you just like I have on Facebook and some of the other social networks. And they're encouraging you just about every single day. And it's just phenomenal to watch.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's good. I've got a really good community, and I think it's it comes out of, and you mentioned this on Facebook a lot, and this is why you and I get on, is I really think what you get out of social media is what you put into it. So I know that I get a lot of support and I've got a great community, but also I also help other people, and I'm constantly on their pages, not just in the news feed. And if someone's gone missing for a while, I've got nearly 5,000 friends. People say, how can you even keep track of that? How can't you? Because I've got so many people from previous incarnations. So I've got people from school, I've got people from when I was in the army, when I was a woo-woo teacher. I've got, a community there, copywriting, but then beyond copywriting, my friends and, people like you. It's like that I'm significantly friends with, it's none of this surface level stuff. And I think really if you put into your community, you'll get it back, and I definitely do.
How do you think that the overcoming of the depression has helped you with copywriting? Because sometimes you have to sit there and you have to think of the words and get the person's head a little bit to write that headline better, or the body better, or to make that copy just kind of stand out.
I think having the depression has made me be more compassionate, and I already had that as a nurse, but it's to a different degree, different dimension. Also the empathy, but it's also just knowing how to get into people's head. Like, people say that I've got a unique take on humanity. Like, I like to say, a nursing analogy, I've got my finger on the pulse of humanity. So I'm always diving into forums and comments after posts and things like that, just seeing what matters to people. And I think the depression's made me, curious to see what makes humans tick, because that's how I had to unravel myself and get out of depression. Because something that people don't really know is that I had to get out of depression drug-free, because when I was in the army, I had a really bad experience where they pretty much overdosed me. I was taking too much medication, had a really bad reaction, got a thing called serotonin syndrome, which was horrifying. I was hearing sound through my skin. The old CRT monitors, I could tell you how many times they flickered each minute. It was like a nurse taking a pulse. Fluorescent lights, I could tell you how many times they flickered a minute. It was a totally scary and surreal experience. So from that moment, I said I would never take another antidepressant. Thus far, I haven't. And that's like over, 13 years later, I haven't taken any more medication. So I've had to do it all alone. So finding out how my brain ticked has been the key to that, and working with brain technologies and a bit of NLP, a bit of woo healing and stuff like that. People may laugh, but it worked, and the reason I'm here on the planet is because it worked. So just do what works for you.
Yeah, I'm one of those types of people that like to poke the bear, and I think that is also a form of overcoming, my own demons. I want to see what makes people tick.
Yeah.
Sometimes I press them a little too much, and then they react, and then I just sit back and go, and it's not doing it on purpose. It's just doing it to be inquisitive.
Yeah, it's a curiosity, isn't it? There's no malice in it, but I think as copywriters we do that too. We actually trigger people Ted Nicholas says, you give people the headache and then sell them the aspirin.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we have to do that, but really all you're doing is, I don't even think you're giving them the headache. You're making them aware of a headache that they already had, that they've been suppressing and working through. So yeah, it's interesting.
Every copywriter, I think, has their own little style of,
Mm.
agitate. So
Yeah.
how do you agitate or trigger, your reader to want to say yes to your product?
Great question. There's many ways to do it, as you know, and I've been taught by some incredible copywriters, like Paris Lampropoulos is my current mentor, Trevor Crook and Dan Kennedy, Clayton Makepeace. They've all got their own different ways. I think as a female, I like to go a bit more gently than, just go in and rip off the Band-Aid. It just depends on who you're writing for, how stubborn they are, what their level of awareness is. So I know it sounds a bit, out there, but I think you really need to tune into where your client is or where your reader is, and have that in mind. And always don't stir up something that you're not going to fulfill at the end. So I see a lot of copywriters that will agitate, but then they will not give the reader what they need by the end of the letter, or they just frustrate the crap out of it. It's like agitate, give them some positivity, then they'll agitate them, and then positivity, and then towards the end they agitate them again. It's like you've already sold them, like you don't need to agitate them again. It's almost like this just as you said, keep poking and see what happens. Well, people get tired of that. So I think that's where the compassion and
funny
empathy
thing
comes in.
is I can do it to somebody, but when someone's doing it to me, and especially in a let's just say in a 6-page marketing letter, if I get past the second page and I feel like I'm being poked too much, the whole thing goes in the trash. I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, because you've got, as a copywriter marketer, you've really got to. My philosophy is, my ethos is, I'm interrupting someone's day, so I had better have a good reason, because they've got 2 million other better things to do. And one of those is sitting on the toilet reading, reading whatever, Facebook or whatever they do these days. So I'm not a big priority to them. So if I'm going to interrupt their day, I better be giving them something that's going to make their life better. So that's where I write from. I always write from that place. So yes, I'll agitate them, but it's like when I was a nurse. Giving someone a needle isn't a joyful experience. You know that giving a needle to someone's going to hurt because you're breaking through skin. There's no hole in your skin that says, hey, insert needle here so it doesn't hurt. It's like you're going to hurt someone. So you do it swiftly, and then you pull a needle out, and then you rub it or put a Band-Aid on, and, the patient thinks that you're a hero because you've taken away their pain, or, so that's the way I approach it too. Just
Sure. That's funny. Hey, where do you get most of your clients? I mean, are they from Australia, or are they from all over the world?
Yeah, mostly from the US, a bit all over the world. A few in Australia. It's funny, I'm better known in the US than I am in Australia. I'm sort of like I don't know, I like it, unknown sort of, what do I call it? Anonymously famous sort of thing.
That's how I am. I mean, I'm in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Everybody knows it as the Amish. This is where the Amish live. And they'll say, are you Amish? No, I'm not Amish. But, more people know me outside of Pennsylvania than they do here, which it's great, because if I go somewhere, no one's going to say, hey, Rob, and bug me at dinner or something.
Yeah, like I went to TNC, or Traffic and Conversion, in San Diego, and my mentor, Paris Lampropoulos, I mean, he's a bit of a legend in the copywriting community, but then again, people who need to know him, and then everyone else just doesn't. And so he's walking around like, for me, he's like one of the biggest superstars. He's walking around anonymously, like people are just like, oh, here's that dude, and I'm just going, oh my God. But then they're like just losing their crap over some, internet marketer that's like the new fad and fashion. And I'm just going, wow, That's so interesting. So my goal in life is to be anonymously famous like Paris. You know, the right people know you and everyone else just, you know, it's like, whatever. She just looks ordinary, you know, as if she knows anything. And that even happens on Facebook, you know, like I go to answer a question and people go, oh yeah, well, you know, my mate's a copywriter and they're like a 4-figure copywriter, so I'm going to listen to them. And it's like, yeah, go for it. I'm not going to argue. Like, you know, you don't want to take my advice. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, I get that too. I jump on some of these groups.
Mm,
I'll leave my 2 bits of opinion,
mm,
and then I have 1,000 people that want to attack me. And I'm
yeah,
like, wait a minute, you've been doing this for 6 months. I've been doing this for a decade, you know,
yeah,
with social and probably 20 some years in copywriting and marketing, and you want to downplay me, you know, and
yeah.
it's like, yeah, I could go in there and have a battle with them, but it's not worth my time.
It's not. And at the end of the day, and this is something that I'm learning from, you know, studying human psychology, you're not going to change their cherished belief. Their cherished belief is that they know more than everyone else about copywriting, or they're the best copywriter slash marketer slash anything on the planet, then nothing's gonna, you know, change that opinion. And so I would rather get on with my day and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, write for people or do things for people that appreciate me. And that's, you know, that's where I do my best work anyway, is when I have a passion and I'm excited about something.
Well, what types of projects are you passionate about? I mean, what niche kind of excites you?
Well, I'm heading towards alternative health, and because I've been fighting that for years. I'm a bit of a slow learner because I was a nurse for 20 years, and so it's funny because I listen to health writers and they're going, "What's that word like thrombocytopenia? What does that mean?" And I'm going, "Well, thrombus," and then I'll break it down into the root words, and I'm anyway. So I might as well use my skills on something that, you know, is going to help people. And also it goes back to that helping people have their best life. You know, a lot of those alternative health are going to make people healthier. It'll help them live longer, productive lives. That's good.
Hmm.
But whilst I'm establishing that career, I just love writing, you know, like for businesses, you know, small to medium sized businesses that have, you know, got their heartfelt and mindful messages but just can't connect to their audience the right way. And yeah, I mean, I've written for about 47 different industries and sub industries, so I've been slow to niche. But what that's about is I have a curiosity. I love learning about new businesses, but as Dan Kennedy says, you know, your business isn't different, so it's there are similarities. But I think what I've done as a copywriter is by establishing myself and getting firm on the foundational skills. Once you've done that, you can write for anything. Like I've done stuff for fertility clinics, I've done stuff for automotive repairers, I've done things for intellectual property protectors, lawyers, accountants, you name it. I've written for it, and I never see it like someone says, "Oh, can you write for that?" It's like, of course I can, because it's all up here.
Hmm.
It's,
You know,
you
I
know,
think we have the best jobs in the world because we can be someone different every single day.
I love it.
Yeah.
I really love that,
And so
actually.
I can be a doctor today. I can be a, you know, mechanic tomorrow. And
Mm,
we're like, what do you really do?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
and it's like the TV show, The Pretender. I can be anything.
yeah. It's like being a method actor. It's like, you know, just take on a role for that amount of time that you're writing, and just immerse yourself into that person. And yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah,
Hmm.
it is exciting, and I guess that's why I've been slow to niche, because there's just so many possibilities out there. But I mean, somewhere where I haven't compromised, and I hate the word compromise. It's the worst C word on the planet, even worse than that other filthy word. But where I haven't compromised is on my copywriting, you know, skills, learning, and education. I've invested so heavily in that. It's ridiculous.
And you come to the States, what, twice a year?
Well, it'll be twice this year. Um, I think, yeah, actually it was twice last year as well. So it averages out to once. But I mean, there may be occasions where I'll have to come over a bit more often, because that's where the opportunities are. That's where the events are.
Mhm.
You know, I could sit at home in Australia and go, oh, these things never come to us. But that's like sitting there waiting for the mountain to come to you. Like, seriously, get off your butt, do what you need to do to get there, and go to where all the experts are, and that happens to be America. And yeah,
So
I
most of
love it.
the events that you've been though are LA and Florida. Uh,
Yeah, San Diego, mostly
Mhm.
Florida. I went to Phoenix. That was pretty cool. Yeah, but not much in the middle. I wouldn't mind visiting more of your country. It's
There's
gorgeous.
nothing in the middle. It's just all,
Nothing.
no, all on the
Yeah,
coast.
yeah, that's like Australia. There's nothing in the middle. It's just like barren.
Well, we have the Arch in St. Louis, and that's, we can pass through that. But
Yeah, but I love coming to America, and yeah, I always have a great time. I've
no,
actually got,
I like dreaming about Australia.
yeah. Well, come over and I'll protect you from the killy things.
What's the travel time for airfare? I mean, air travel.
Uh, so from LA, it's about like 14 hours. Um, and to get over to the other coast, I think it's 5 hours when you
Hmm.
take into consideration the time zones. Um, yeah, but it's worth it, isn't it? Like, you know,
Well, I was in Germany over Christmas, and that was only I think a 6 hour flight, something like
yeah,
that. Didn't seem like that was that long.
mm,
But I don't know if I want to do, 12 hours or 14 hours on a plane.
yeah, yeah. But getting back to you've got to do what it takes to get to
Mhm.
where you want to go. I mean, I don't even think about the travel time, to be honest. I just know that I'm here and my destination is Florida or New York or wherever. And that's all I focus on. And it's funny because when people travel, they go, oh, well, this is so much in Australian. If I was paying this in Australian, it's like, no, you're paying it in American. Get over it. Just like, don't do the conversion. And then people ask me, they go, what time is it back home where you are? And I went, well, I'm here now, and this is, I'm actually right in the moment. I don't dwell on alternate realities. It's like,
Yes,
yeah, it's just,
sometimes I forget because I have so many clients that are overseas, and I'm like, okay, are you 6 hours ahead, 14 hours
yeah,
ahead, behind me? And
yeah,
it's like, what time is it?
yeah. Well, I mean, for the next couple of weeks and last week, I'm getting up at like 1 o'clock in the morning for a series of webinars that is just phenomenal. So I could catch the replays, but why do that? I
Mhm.
want to ask questions of the expert. So, I mean, as I said, just do what you got to do to get to where you want to be, and yeah, and you will get the results with the dedication.
So how do people get your book? Not this old book, but your new book.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. Yeah, so you can get it either as a Kindle, or you can get it as a real book with
Yeah, don't
the
get the Kindle.
pages.
Get a real
Yeah.
book.
Yeah, but the imagery is top notch. It came up a real treat, and that's something that I never wanted to do, was compromise on the integrity of the illustrations in that book. And that's probably why it took so long to come out on Kindle and also on Create Space, because when I first explored it, it was going to cost more to have the book printed than it would have to that I could have sold it for. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, the color is phenomenal in this book, at least the old one.
Yeah.
So how do people get a hold of you? I mean, if they want you to do some copywriting for them or help them on their marketing, do they
Yep.
find you on Facebook? Do you have a website?
I have a website, which is probably the best place. It's www.thecopyalchemist.com. And yeah, I've got a weekly email that they can subscribe to. I call them knowledge nuggets. They're a bit of like a slice of life with a marketing message that they can, implement into their life, or just get a different perspective on life. So
And see, folks, this is why Pauline is an e-hero, because she has dedicated her life over the last I mean, in the army, and then as a nurse, and a teacher, and she's doing all this great stuff in the marketing world. So follow her. Go to the copyalchemist.com, and it's .com, not with an extension, or it's just .com.
Yep, I'm global.
Yeah, well. So, and even though she's in Australia, she'll come to you. I mean, she can help you with your projects anywhere you are.
Mm.
So the copyalchemist.com. Go there today. Hey, this is Rob Anspach, and you can catch me at anspachmedia.com. And in fact, if you're watching this on YouTube, the links will be below. If you're catching this on a podcast, then you're just going to have to remember the spelling of the links. Okay. So I'll catch you guys later. Thank you, Pauline. And it's always a pleasure.
Thanks, Rob.